thank you for taking your time for joining myself and Isabella today. I'll go through the formal introductions just so you know who we are, and then we'll commence with the presentation. So my name's Andy. I'm a business banking manager for Santander in Birmingham, and I'm joined by my colleague Isabella, and Isabella is a business banking manager for Santander in Cambridge. So again, thank you for your time today. I look forward to spending the next hour with you and discussing starting up on a shoestring. So just so I can get an idea of where you are within the business, if you could just use the reaction buttons and provide us with a clap if you've started your business and you're looking to get it off the ground, or if you've got a business idea, and use the thumbs up service. That would be fantastic, just so we've got an understanding of where you are on your business journey. So I'll give you a few moments just to go through the quote that we're going to start off today. So when starting a business, no matter your budget, it never seems quite enough. But when you're starting out on a truly small scale, it can be really hard what to know to prioritize. I think that really resonates with me. As a business banking manager, we see a lot of people that are potentially in a new situation. They've got this fantastic idea and they're not just quite sure how to make that idea a reality. And I guess one real life experience for myself with this is that I had a client that was made redundant compulsory because the company that she'd worked for all of her life had gone. It wasn't a sustainable kind of business venture. And she had an idea, and we literally met in a public house. Remember those before COVID? It was a fantastic place to be. So, and we sat and we had lunch, and she talked me through what her challenges were and what her ideas were. And she had a laptop, a mobile phone, and a list of contacts that she'd built up over years of experience within that industry. And I guess she was nervous. She didn't really know where to turn, what to do, how to make this idea that she had a reality. Through some of the stuff that we're going to talk you through now on the next few slides and over the next hour, we were able to really turn that idea into a reality. And she's now running a recruitment consultancy company, turning over £500,000 a year. And she literally started on a shoestring in a public house, jotting down ideas on a beer mat. And that's where it grew from. So really pleased with Isabella to talk you through a few of the things that we've learned over the time in our experiences, and a few of the information that we've been able to obtain from the independent sources. The British Library is obviously invited us here today, and you know what a fantastic proposition we've got running at the moment. So you've got your free professional edits for your LinkedIn photos through the email address. There's skill shop swaps, events happening all day long, so you'll be able to join in, speak to other like-minded individuals and draw on the experiences that you've got from yourselves and your own personal experiences. You've got the hashtag that we're using today, the BIPC Startup Day, and you'll be able to see lots of communication from other like-minded people. And that'll be a common theme throughout our presentation, is being how you can utilize your time and like-minded people in order to support your idea, your business journey and your growth. So after the session, I'd recommend that you take a look at a lot of the other things that are going on through all of the other event rooms. I know you've got the main event and you've got 4 other hosting event rooms. Take some time, draw on the experiences that you've got from the individuals within there, ask questions, don't be shy, and hopefully we'll add some value over the next hour and talk you through how we learn, how we develop and how we grow that idea into a reality. Thank you, Izzy.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you for that introduction. And to start things off, going on from what Andy said with his interaction with the customer in the public house, we're going to talk about thinking lean. Now, even if you haven't started your business yet and haven't started buying all the bits and bobs you may need, I think everyone can resonate at a time where they've bought something and thought, I wish I didn't buy that, I don't actually need that. Or they've got overexcited, you book a holiday and you buy all new clothes, even though you've got lots of clothes that you could already wear in your wardrobe. So it's very similar when you start a business. I think you get very, very excited and think of a wish list of all the things you need, a brand new laptop, a brand new phone, brand new desk, brand new spinny chair, when really, do you have a laptop that already works and you can use? Do you have a desk space that you can use? Can you work at your kitchen table? And all these things are going to save you money that you could potentially use to invest in the business long term. So let's just have a look at some of the things that people do tend to spend money on and are a big expense to a business, and see how we could potentially streamline that for when you first start your business. So premises, as I just said, could you work from home? Andy and I, until COVID hit, had never worked from home. I mean, speaking for myself and my relationship with Santander, I was in the branch every single day meeting customers, and I never believed that my kitchen would turn into a Santander branch. But it has, and it works, and it has actually allowed me to work with people that I never usually would. For example, I had never met Andy in Birmingham, and may never have done if it wasn't for Zoom meetings and working remotely. If you do think, actually, I couldn't work from home, could you rent a space in a co-working office space? So there's lots and lots of offices now that do hot desking, renting a desk, and another advantage of doing that is meeting other like-minded business people. As Andy said, you may do on this event today, you may desk with someone and you could collaborate your businesses, you could network with these people. So there's lots of advantages of using these types of spaces. Do you need a premises right away? Could you sell online, especially at the moment? Not many people are going out shopping, and I do think COVID sort of has revolutionized online shopping. Lots of people that weren't doing online shopping before are now, and may never go back to going out shopping for the day. Could you sell through a pop-up event such as a market, and again meet more people and do some networking? So in terms of equipment, of course you need equipment to run your business in some cases, but could you buy these second-hand or reconditioned rather than getting a brand shiny new one? Could you use equipment that you already have? Could you spread the cost of equipment? Sometimes people think, no, I don't. I've had customers say it to me. I don't want to do finance. I've never done finance. I want to buy the equipment outright, which it is a quite controversial, but an old-fashioned way of doing things. I think the negative stigma around financing something has gone now. Lots of people finance their own car. We finance our mobile phones. I think to go out and buy a new iPhone now, it's over £1,000 when you can pay £30 a month to have a brand new iPhone, for example. So could you finance that equipment and then use that excess cash flow to do something else within your business? So staff is one of the biggest overheads a business will have. So do you want that responsibility when you are just starting? Could you use freelancers? Again, if it's a brand new business proposition, do you want that commitment of having to pay staff? And you may work with someone that you don't necessarily get along with. So could you use freelancing or subcontracting within your business? Could family and friends be roped in to begin with, just to help you get things running? And finally, can you outsource to a third party? So a lot of HR services, marketing, advertising can be outsourced. Although there is an expense there, and we're talking about thinking lean, sometimes you have to make these costs, and it's definitely worth doing rather than making a poster yourself and it not being that great, for example. And then finally, we have stock. So I think you can get carried away in a business. I see it all the time. Customers buy lots and lots of stock and then think, I've got no money because it's all in that stock. So can you streamline the amount of stock that you have so that cash isn't tied up? And if you are selling products, can you make them to order? That's a more bespoke way of doing things. And if customers really want your product, they will be willing to wait. And then finally, can you manufacture in small production runs? So can you ensure that your cash isn't tied up in stock so that you can spend it on other things? Okay, so the next topic, please, Andy.
Yeah, so manage cash flow every day. I think we've all heard the phrase that cash is king. It probably comes down from your parents, grandparents. It's always been the way that cash is king. In a business, cash flow is king. Without cash flow and without being able to manage your cash flow, your business will not succeed. The biggest contribution to businesses that don't succeed in its infancy is because they haven't been able to manage their cash flow effectively. So how do you do that? How do you as a business manage your cash flow? So what we'll go through is we'll go through a few different ways now that will break down different ways that you can manage that cash flow. Send invoices promptly. It's a really silly thing, but you'd be surprised at how many businesses put it to the back of their mind because they're thinking about the next order. They're thinking about the next deal that they've got on the table that they want to get over the line. Send your invoices promptly. The earlier you send your invoices, the better it will be for the long-term sustainability of your business. Pay your bills on time. Again, really simple, but put in a bill in a filing system and saying, I'll pay that at the end of the month. I understand, but make sure it's paid at the end of the month. Make sure it's paid on time, because businesses will charge an administration fee if your business hasn't settled its invoice on time, which is exactly the same as we'd expect you to do. If you've provided a service, they haven't paid you on time, you would provide an administration fee, they will do the same. So pay your bills on time. It will help you see what's in your bank, what's available, what's profit, what's tax, what's set up next for your next stock order, and how you manage it. The earlier and more efficiently that you do that will help the sustainability of your business. Take fees up front. Sometimes, like Isabella said, with stock, if you're getting an order in and you know that people are going to be making an order and it's quite a big, there's nothing wrong for asking for half of the fees up front, you know, to spread your costs. People understand when you're a startup business that you will have a cash flow requirement. So explain, be honest. We need to take fees up front to complete this order. Okay. And people, if they want your product, they will do that. Spread the costs. A little bit like Isabella was saying with your stock, with your staff, with your everything else, is do you need to pay all of that in one go, or can you break it down into a more manageable monthly payment that would help keep the cash flow in your business? Do you really need to spend £3,000 on a new van, or would it be better to pay £100 a month for 3 years and have a smaller amount coming out of your account, especially if you're a courier and that's your livelihood, having a smaller amount coming out over a longer period? Avoid late payment, pretty much the same as paying your bills on time. Don't get caught in the trap, especially to your places like HMRC and your tax. Get your payments done, get them in, keep your cash flow manageable. Stick to your budget. It's really hard, but when you've spent a lot of time exploring the industry that you're wanting to do, going to a business plan, seeing what your competitors are charging for a product, you've built a business around your ideas and around a budget. You'll have created a product that has a value, and that value minus the materials, minus the professional services, will create a net profit. The more that you spend achieving that product, if that product fee remains the same, your net profit reduces. Stick to your budget. Have a look at the ways of being flexible, being creative, but you need to try and stick to what you've done, because that's the foundations of all of the information that you've built your time and the education on. Take deposits. If a customer's coming in and wants to order something, take a deposit. If you're going to have to spend time, money, buying a piece of wood to create and sculpt into a piece of furniture, take deposits. Cover your costs. Make sure your time and your materials are covered right from the outset. So you know that if this customer doesn't turn up, you're financially recompensed for the time and the stock that you've purchased. Track your spending. That's accumulation of all of the other 7 points. Understand what's happening in your business. Forecast when your business is going to be tight on cash flow. Know what's going to happen between now and the end of the month. Know what's going to happen now between now and when your next big invoice is settled or you've receipted payments for goods. Understand and forecast what's happening. From a personal point of view, if you came into a bank and said to me, Andy, look, I'm struggling this month because this has happened, this has happened, this has happened. It's not going to happen for 6 weeks, but I know it's going to happen. Can you help me? Or you're coming to me and saying, Andy, look, all this happened 6 weeks ago. I don't really know what I'm going to do or how I'm going to settle this invoice now. It's a very different conversation. Track your spending, manage your cash flow. And if you can do that, you've got a good chance at a successful, sustainable business. Thanks, Izzy.
Thank you, Andy. So do your research. And I think this point is often overlooked, and really it's one of the most important ones, because why do everything Andy and I have said if you've not researched into your business to check that it's actually viable and something people are going to want? I think it's very easy to get carried away and think your own business is the best thing ever, your own idea is the best thing ever. And often as well, if you're going to ask family and friends about your business, they're going to tell you the same. The quote on the screen did make me laugh, because it says you shouldn't ask your mum if it's a good idea, because she loves you and she will lie to you. I think my mum's quite strict, because I think she would tell me the truth. I think she'd be the best critic, but I suppose it depends what your mum is like. But as I said, as a rule of thumb, family and friends probably aren't the best people to ask. You need to be doing research within your target market. So you need to think about what problem your business is trying to solve, what gap in the market your business is going to try and penetrate. So, and they're the people you want to be asking. For example, with the Cambridge Satchel Company, Julie was looking at taking a UK-made luxury bag to customers looking for something different yet affordable. So she needs to be asking the people that she wants to sell the bag to whether they like the bag. There's no point asking people outside the UK. For example, she needs to target her target market and ensure that her product is priced correctly and something they would like to buy. You also need to understand your industry trends. You need to understand who your competitors are, which I'll come on to in a minute, and you need to try and become an expert in the industry you're trying to enter. Are there any barriers to entry? Has the market grown or shrunk over the years? Is it a market that is in its maturity stage of the market life cycle, or is it sort of at the end? Are people finding new ways to interact with this kind of industry? As I mentioned previously, your competitors. Every business has competitors. I think if you think you haven't got any competitors, you need to have another think, because there will be some sort of competition out there for you. And you need to understand what makes your business different and let's be frank, better than your competitors, and what sets you apart from those competitors. Find out as much as you can about that competition. Who are their customers? What do they charge? Are you going to charge more, less, similar? And what is their customer service like? And that is a really key point. I think the world we live in now, there are so many different online retailers. We're not confined to our own high streets anymore. So customer service is a real way you can set yourself apart from your competitors, because guess what? If the customer doesn't like the service they receive, they probably will go elsewhere. And how do they market themselves, and how are you going to market yourselves differently to ensure that you reach that target market? And also, most importantly, you need to have a business plan. So as Andy said, you need to have a budget in place, and you need to make decisions about your startup. And ultimately, this business plan will dictate the business's journey and how the business is going to be run, how successful the business is. So this is probably the most important document you're going to prepare, and one that you need to make the decisions we're speaking about today on, to dictate how the business will be run in the future.
Thank you, Izzy. So wearing different hats, what does that mean? So as your startup grows, you definitely want to bring other expertise and skills into the business. But to begin with, you can't really afford to do it. The more you can become the expert, the more you can take a do-it-yourself approach to getting your idea off the ground. And with the advancements in technology, there are lots of digital tools that you can use to help you do that. So there are lots of different parts to a business operation, with skills that really, when you're starting up, you can teach yourself. There are lots of ways you can do it with technology. So finance, one of the main aspects of starting the business that every founder needs to understand. But some business support organizations, they run free finance courses. So have a look online, or you can use software that you'll probably have to pay for, but it'll be a smaller amount at the start. So rather than going out and getting somebody in to look after your finances, your tax and things, look at the different software that you can find online. Can you do a course yourself to do basic bookkeeping? As your business grows, then obviously things will change and you need to start to look at other options. But what can you do yourself? How can you make your proposition as lean as possible whilst you're starting out? The marketing side of things, there are hundreds of social media marketing companies out there that would love to work with you and would love to work with your brand. And when the time is right, engage in their services. But it can be very expensive to outsource your marketing to a third party. So the more you can understand your own marketing, the better. The things that you've done with your market research, that will help you, because you'll start to get an understanding of what methods will be effective. We've all got some kind of form of social media. I know Facebook, you can do Facebook ads where you can select the demographic of the people that you want your advert to go to. LinkedIn, you can create business pages for your company. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, it's all alive with startup companies looking to showcase their product at the leanest way possible. And that's what's important throughout all of this. Production, and business planning, never really engage in the services unless absolutely necessary to look at business planning. There is nobody that knows your business better than you do. There's nobody that can incorporate all of your ideas and showcase them better than you. Yes, you might need some help articulating your information into a plan, but if you can absolutely avoid it unless absolutely necessary, business planning shouldn't be outsourced, and especially not completely. You want to be involved. Use that hat, use the skill, use the templates that are online to create your business plan. Look at ways that you can do that and be involved completely within the business. Sales, again, looking at your marketing, looking at the ways that you can promote your product. You need to be the biggest advocate of your brand. How can you increase sales while keeping your costs low? Have you got an apparel company that you've got t-shirts and shorts and hats and everything else? Can you send that to somebody then to promote for you? Working the smartest way possible, in the leanest way possible, to help support and sustain your business. It might be impossible with the production side of things, that it might be impossible to produce the goods yourself, but the more that you have control and understanding of the process, if you have to outsource. What I mean by that, so if you're that guy that's selling the t-shirt, who makes your t-shirt? How is it printed? Yes, you might need to outsource that initially, but can you then take that on yourself? There's an apparel company in Birmingham that you probably all got some awareness of, called Gymshark. The founder, Ben Francis, he started in his garage, literally while he was studying. He outsourced the production of his t-shirts. He outsourced the production of his apparel. His business developed and got to a stage that he was able to take that in-house. And now Gymshark, I think they've just actually turned a valuation of £1 billion. Work smart, work hard, and work lean, and you can look at achieving your goals for your business. Distribution, again, are you paying somebody to distribute your product? Is it easier that you spend half an hour of or half a day every week and you distribute the product yourself? Is it easier to outsource to Royal Mail, to Hermes, to Yodel? There are other delivery drivers available. But is it easier for you to outsource it to them? Or is it easier for you to do yourself? What's going to have the most effective, lean use of your time? The main part of wearing different hats is really understanding the intricate parts of your business. Knowing when, as it develops, that you've got a basic understanding of finance, you've got a basic understanding of marketing, business planning, the sales, the production, the distribution. Successful people in successful businesses know what happens from the ground up. They eat, breathe, live their business proposition. They will have an understanding. And yes, as they grow, they'll outsource it to somebody with more of a specialism, somebody that can deal in international finance, somebody that can deal in international sales, bringing production online and having a production manager. But at the start, on a shoestring, think about what you can do and what value you can add to understanding your business. Thanks, Izzy.
Thanks, Andy. So customer acquisition. So there's a couple of quotes on the screen there, which I'll just leave on for you to read. Customer acquisition, of course, is about getting customers to buy from you. And if you're running a business that's selling something, one of the most important things you need is customers to buy your product or your service. But realistically, when you are starting up on a shoestring, your company and your products and your services might not be well known, and people may not even know you exist, even if you have the perfect product and service for them, and they would be willing to buy from you. So how do we get these customers to buy from our business, and how do we get these customers to know about our business? As I mentioned previously, knowing your target market is really, really important. If you've done enough research, you should know who your ideal customer is. And by focusing on selling to that customer rather than the whole of the market, you will waste less money and less time and get a loyal customer base, hopefully, that will continue to buy from you. The businesses and products and services I buy are completely different to the businesses and products and services my grandma buys, for example, and we have very different tastes and interests in which businesses we buy from. Very few businesses will be able to target a completely every single demographic. So consider that when you are acquiring your customers, and think, who would my ideal customer be, and target that customer. When you do get a loyal bank of customers that are buying from you regularly, ask for referrals. Your first happy customers, I'm sure, will be the best people to sell on your behalf and tell their friends about the brilliant product or service they've got from you. And this can be far more effective than spending money on a marketing campaign. So a lot of the time now, I'm sure you've all experienced it, when you do buy from a business, they send you a link to put a Google review on. They ask you to review the product you've bought. Even the really large companies, John Lewis, the clothing retailers, they will ask you to leave a review, and smaller businesses often ask for a Google review, which is a great way of displaying all those fantastic reviews from your customers. And that's the beauty of technology now. They can tell more than just their friends and family. They can tell people from different parts of the country and ultimately different parts of the world. So incentivize. So we all love a bargain and we all love thinking we're getting a good deal. So what can you offer your customers to draw them in? Can you do any special offers to start with that draws the customer in? Could you do any sort of loss leading schemes that mean the business doesn't make a huge profit at first, but once you've got that customer and you've penetrated that target market, then you may wish to do different incentives and loyalty schemes, etc. So crowdsourcing, go to those crowds, and this could be via a crowdfunding website, pop-up show, different networking events. How can you get yourself, and more importantly, your business, in front of an audience so that you can reach that target market and shout about this fantastic new business idea you've had, so that that business ultimately becomes successful? Create content. So as Andy said, you're the best person to sell your business. You are the best person that knows all about your business. So make sure that you create content that drives traffic to your website, and raises your profile as your business. You've worked hard to set this up, and you want people to know how brilliant it is. So make sure you've got the content out there that showcases your business. And then finally, do your own sales. So rather than hiring expensive salespeople, you can use all these tips to ensure that you're not having to pay some of your precious cash away to sell your business, when, as we've said, you're the best person to do that. And thanks to technology and the modern world we're living in, there are so many ways that you can acquire customers and ensure that your business is advertised in a really effective way.
Do one thing well. What does that mean? How does that relate into a business idea? So there's a danger that as a startup, you'll try and be all things to all people. You're trying to make the sale for you're trying to grow the business, you're trying to get involved, you're trying to grow the brand. So there's a massive danger that you try and become all things to all people. But if you've got a limited budget, you can't really afford to do that. So what we recommend is focus on one thing and do that incredibly well. So make the business easy to understand. It might make you sound smart, but customers will switch off if they don't understand your product or your service. You take Twitter, for example. So when Twitter was set up, it was an incredibly simple idea. So you have a brief status with a limited amount of characters, and it's fun, it's friendly, the interface was clean, people knew instantly what it did. It wasn't all bells, all whistles service. It was simple, it was clean, it was efficient, it served its ultimate purpose. It did one thing well. Strip the bells and whistles. The more complicated that you make it, the more expensive the customer thinks that it is, the harder it is for the customer to get involved in that business. Strip it down. Make it as simple as possible, the way that you communicate that to your customer. Whatever your product is, if it's specific and it's for a specific purpose in a specific industry, these people will know what it can do and the technology behind it. Strip it right down. focus on what you do best. So there's a company in North Wales called Wheat, and they make jeans. That's it. Nothing else. No distractions, and nothing to steal their focus. They can't be good at everything, so they are fantastic at one thing. They do one thing exceptionally well. They have a demand for their business, for their product that lasts over 6 months. They don't expand into different apparel. They don't diverse from their fundamental products that they know, they understand, they've marketed, they've researched, they've been lean. Do one thing and do it well. Thanks, Izzy.
Thanks, Andy. So going digital. So using digital tools is a really useful way to keep costs down, but also to make sure that you're feeling smart about the way your business is going to start. Startups today can benefit from so many tools that weren't there sort of 5-10 years ago to start the business. Lots of these are also free options that will enable your business to become digital from the outset. So just showing a couple of stats on the screen here. So I found some of these quite shocking actually when I was first shown them, and I think there's no need for some of these stats to be the way they are with all the different resources that are available to businesses. So 40% of small businesses don't have a website, and if you don't have a website, as we said, how are you going to reach people across the country, across the world? I mean, you're sort of very much dependent on your local area supporting your business, which you're really diminishing your target market from the outset if you don't have a website. There are lots of companies that will build you a website. For example, Squarespace, they can build you a website from scratch for just a few pounds a month. And when we were speaking about costs earlier, I think that is a really, really cheap and essential cost to have for your business so that you do have a digital presence. And 72% of small businesses don't have mobile-friendly websites. Again, lots of people use their smartphones now. They are like mini computers in our pockets. So why not ensure that your business is reached on every device by every single person? 43% of businesses don't use social media. As Andy said, social media is a wonderful tool that we have, and there's so many different social medias available: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Why not have all bases covered and ensure that you can be found whichever social media people log into? Social media accounts, the basic ones, don't have any charge. As Andy said, you can add advertising to hit your own target market. And there's so many different things that you can benefit from by being on social media. With going digital, just ensure that you do have a digital space for your business. You don't even necessarily have to sell online if that's not something you want to do, but just make sure you have that digital presence to ensure that your business is reached far and wide. If you did want to sell online, there is a company called Shopify that enable you to run an e-commerce business with limited upfront costs. And there, as I said, are social media advertising companies, and also companies such as SurveyMonkey that will help you get feedback from customers and carry out research. Now, I didn't want to bring this up because it's all we hear about on the news, but when we do speak about COVID in 2020, this is a very different event this year, and the way you start your business up will probably and inevitably be different due to the pandemic. So the ongoing increase of digital payments has been a real shock for lots of businesses. I mean, cash-based businesses, really, if they haven't got a card machine or an e-commerce solution now, they're going to be left behind because lots of people simply don't have cash anymore. If they don't want cash, they're shopping from their sofa or their laptop, and cash, although we said earlier cash is king, physical cash now is going to be a thing of the past. The e-commerce sales hit a peak of 32.8% of all sales in May 2020, and this is said to be greatly due to COVID-19. So, as I said, the general message is if you don't have an online presence, you are missing out on potential sales ultimately, and not just sales, just your presence in general, to reach your wider target market. So thank you so much for listening to us today. That's everything we have to cover with you on the topic. But remember, Santander and the British Library is always here to help. So if you do have any questions, please come and speak to Andy, myself, or one of our colleagues via the chat function, which is linked below. And we do have our Santander Breakthrough website as well, which has many events on that you can attend throughout the year. Again, another change due to COVID. They are sometimes face-to-face, but at the moment, of course, they are all virtual. Both Andy and myself are running one in the next few weeks regarding a plan for the next 90 days for your business. So if you have enjoyed this presentation, that may be something that you wish to attend, so we can follow on from this and speak about the next 90 days of your business. All the information that we have displayed today is online, and the Santander Breakthrough contact details are on there as well. So, as we said, thank you so much for listening, and we wish you all the best in starting up your business, and we hope that you stay safe. Thank you very much.
Thank you.